My guest tonight is Bruce Guthrie. He's been an editor of the Age and the Herald Sun and is the author of Man Bites Murdoch, an account of his work in newspapers and his successful unfair dismissal lawsuit won against News Limited. Bruce, thanks so much for coming on the program
Pleasure,
today.
Paul, pleasure.
How are you going?
Oh, good. The book seems to be going well, so I'm happy.
Now, can we talk a bit about kind of your experience as an editor? And I want to talk a bit about Jeff Kennett, because he's still on 3AW, still floating around talking about cool mints and all sorts of things. There was no love lost between you and Jeff Kennett, was there?
No, there wasn't. I mean, and look, I would always say that all I did was my job as a newspaper editor, and that was to kind of occasionally put his feet to the fire and say, why are you doing this? And I mean, I edited The Age in sort of the mid-90s, and Jeff vacated the political scene in 1999. I think he still bears a grudge. I don't. I subscribe to that theory. What's the line that, you know, hate is like drinking poison and hoping the other guy dies? There's no future in it. But when my book came out, Jeff attacked it. So I figure that he still bears a grudge, but I've moved on.
I'm surprised, though, in terms of... because Jeff Kennett was always the Premier that I grew up with, because I was born in '89, so he was the only one that I ever knew until, you know, obviously Braxton...
You can get counselling for that, you know.
Yeah, I know. But, you know, it's like there's the one you grew up with, it's the one you always imagine as sort of the Premier, just like I've got John Howard as the one I always imagined as the Prime
You can get counselling for that
too.
too.
Yeah, that's true. But he's still around. I'm like, what is it about Jeff Kennett that means he's still... Like, he's kind of stealing oxygen from Bellew? Like, what is it about him that grants him this ability to still be in the media and have such a presence?
Well, I think partly it's him, and he suffers from relevance deprivation syndrome, and I think he's got to be in the kind of public eye.
Yep.
But then the other thing is that people know that, and like Neil Mitchell got him back on the show, and it's great ratings. He's already produced, a death threat that garnered headlines for a couple of days.
Wow.
Now the Cool Mints, he's good radio, and they know that, so it doesn't surprise me. So it's a perfect marriage of his inclinations and the desire for radio to always rate and be controversial.
What about you? Because I mean, now
let's talk enough about him. Let's talk about me.
No, I want to know. Have you just burned all your bridges? Having you've. I mean, once you've edited The Age and the Herald Sun, have you got any jobs left in Melbourne?
Well, probably not as an editor, and
Okay.
and I accept that, and so I can write the book sort of fearlessly, and
I mean, you've been to the top, so that's fine.
Yeah, now I'm going down to the bottom.
Yeah.
No. Look, and that's good. I mean, part of me the great thing about writing the book was that I rediscovered the joys of writing, which I'd sort of stopped doing 20 years ago when I got to a desk, and I'm enjoying it. And so now I'm doing a column for The Age, and so I figure that my future is more about sort of writing rather than rewriting other people, and that's kind of exciting.
You could write a satirical news show. That would.
It's been done. It's been done. It's been done better by other people. Like your good self.
Sold hat. But you don't want to engage in some Jeff Kennett style tricks to kind of get your media personality bigger.
Well, look, it's pretty big. Someone said to me the other day, "My God, Bruce, if you pumped your tyres up anymore, they'd burst." And to some extent, it needs to kind of deflate a bit.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I don't want to be seen as a professional Rupert Murdoch hater. I mean, the book's got this catchy title, which my son came up with, my 16-year-old son, but it's not actually a book about Rupert Murdoch. It's a book, as you said in your intro, about 35, 40 years in newspapers. So, I think the book's out there. I've told my story, and now I go on doing other interesting things, like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is fun. This is good. I'm wondering, just generally about the media, did you feel as an editor, are you finding a tide of like lazy journalism or anything like that? Is the media heading in a way that it perhaps shouldn't be?
No, I think the biggest kind of tide I fought as an editor was within companies to be a manager rather than editor.
Okay.
So in other words, put the company first and the readers second. That was a real trend that was emerging, particularly in my last incarnation at the Herald Sun. And I guess it happens in every walk of life. What do you put first, the shareholder or the person you're supposed to be delivering for? And I found that really, really difficult and a growing problem. And the editors I talk to now all suffer from it. So the readers, when I started, as a journalist in 1972, were paramount. And when I finished, at the Herald Sun in 2008, they were probably running second, third, fourth on some stories. The shareholders are in there, and the corporate partners are in there, and the advertisers are in there. It was getting pretty crowded in there.
Yeah, right.
So, it was much simpler when it was just, well, the readers love this, let's put it in the paper.
Okay.
Now there's all these other kind of stakeholders, and you kind of get confused, and that's the biggest pressure I found.
Well, I mean, because there's the phrase, newspapers are dead, and that's been going around for years now, and they still won't die. So is it a vicious cycle of then being a manager to keep a newspaper profitable, but then also to make good journalism, which then people will hopefully read. That sort of, it just goes around.
And it's hard. It's hard to balance the two, and it was
Yeah.
becoming increasingly difficult because sometimes the things you need to do to keep circulation up, give away free beer, give away free donuts, whatever, have nothing to do with good journalism. So I think in the long run, journalism's fine. Journalism's good. I mean, the message to journalism students out there, and my daughter's a journalism student, is, the future of journalism is really bright. It's newspapers that are in trouble, but someone will come along with a new business model and there'll be another golden era of journalism. So I don't have any great fears about the future of journalism, but yes, newspapers are in trouble, but they'll be reinvented as apps or, websites, and that's happening.
Well, I look forward to seeing whether it becomes the Bruce Guthrie app, maybe.
Maybe
your future
the next book will be an app.
Oh, brilliant. Well,
Let's
thanks so
hope.
much for coming on the program.
Great, thanks very much, Paul.
Thanks so much. Bruce Guthrie, the writer of Man Bites Murdoch.